Mike placed his hand on the polar bear's carcass, excitedly asking his friend to take a photo of him. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his arm. Looking at the pinprick-sized wound, Mike assumed he had merely been bitten by an ant and didn't give it much thought. He turned around and boarded a plane with his friend, planning to grab a meal at KFC. However, when resting that evening, Mike was surprised to discover that his arm had become infected, and the wound had turned exceptionally itchy. Despite this, he didn't take it seriously and only haphazardly wrapped a bandage around it. The next day, he realized something was amiss. The bandage had become soaked, as if drenched in tomato juice. He hastily unwrapped the bandage to check and found that pustules had already formed on his arm. At that moment, his friend walked over to chat with him. To avoid alerting his friend, Mike quickly rebandaged the wound and put the matter out of his mind. It wasn't until he saw the rotting polar bear carcass in the lab crawling with horrifying maggots that Mike realized the gravity of the situation. The stench emanating from the carcass was nearly identical to the odor coming from his arm. He carefully unwrapped the bandage again to examine the wound, only to discover to his horror that it had become severely necrotic, with larvae even emerging from it. Upon witnessing this scene, his friend was also terrified, and Mike was completely stunned. In this remote field station, there were neither professional medical staff nor proper medical equipment to save his life. Mike had no choice but to attempt self-rescue. He grabbed a sharp kitchen knife and asked his friend to help him amputate his arm. However, his friend was not a doctor and hesitated, not daring to take action. Anger and humiliation fueled Mike's rage, and he decided to take matters into his own hands.